We're live
If you,
now. We're live. Live and direct. Boom. Yeah, go ahead. What you were saying? It's just
we're just
because I was starting the thing and you were talking at the same time, so I had to tell you.
well, we use these videos, not just explaining what we said in the other ones, but it's a collection house of all the material and insights, both written we've copied across to the Love for Life website into the Selfie of Frankenstein, and a couple of other threads that we've mentioned on the homepage. Anyone goes will see all these links. It's just so that when we are refining the way to write the free ebook, and from that a documentary and music productions and all that, we're just basically, it's like we're polishing and polishing the rough diamond and until it glistens with absolute perfection. And we have simplified the way to communicate these insights that we came to 11, 12 years ago. So I was just going to say that if you have to leave in an hour and 10, and we still got more to say, can this continue going while you go? And then when we finish, we can say goodbye and close off? Or
Yeah. Or I can arrange something else if you have to keep going. I'll fix it.
we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes, because we've got
Yeah.
notes here, and we're going to sort of do a checklist as Fee and I go through them as we talk about these things. And we just get started. So
wake the baby.
yeah,
But hold on. I just want to talk about something first because you said you were going to talk about consciousness, and that's what I mentioned to you. I would like you to extend maybe on it, or Fiona maybe can extend on it. But there's something happening right now in the world. Everybody's consciousness is onto the hurricane events that's happening in the Bermuda area. I think it's in the Atlantic Ocean. It's making its migration towards Florida, and everybody's focus is onto this. But like I said, if I don't have the new, I don't even know about this. So what is this whole thing to propagate the fear propaganda associated with the news of bad like natural events happening like that? Or are they even natural? Like, are they man-made and all this? Like I saw a video on YouTube, man-made stuff. I don't know. To me, to go to the extent that you can control, you can certainly induce something in the weather, have like the weather modification stuff that they're doing. But to say that you can control the whole hurricane, control his path, and I don't know, man. That's kind of woo, yeah. So what do you think about all this?
Whether it comes out of the technology that came out of alchemy, or whether it comes from the man's dreams, either way, it's still all man-made. We are always the ones responsible for everything we're experiencing, of the shapes that appear in the dream of life that we experience. They're all shape. Hurricane is a shape. It's an image. The whether it's Dana Spencer's assassination and the millions across Earth, whether John Lennon being assassinated or JFK being assassinated, whether it's tsunamis that happened some years ago that went through Indonesia and right across to Sri Lanka and India, everything is man-made. It doesn't matter whether it's done through technology and it's manipulated in that way, or whether it's just directly through our dreams. When you step right back, it is still man's dream, making shapes in the water of our breath, and behind it is the intention, because everything to the dream of life comes with intent, man's intent. Intent is both the thought, the information of those thoughts, and the willpower of man behind pushing through the life energy into those thoughts. That's what intent means. That's what intention is about. So intention is free will, to use man's power to create images out of the membrane of the water of our breath. So whether you call it hurricanes now in Bermuda, or the last 4 days of strong winds we're having here, or whether it's earthquakes, it doesn't matter. Everything is to man's experience. What's behind it, when you peel it right back, is the occultists are saying, don't wake the baby. Do not wake the baby. Keep the baby asleep. because that is what's going on in the theater of the system, everything being staged. So while we are asleep, we keep giving up the responsibility of what the dreams that we hold, that we give shape to, and with our intention. While we keep doing that, we're lost in a lineal, defined dream world that was already created for us before we even arrived in the womb, and through all our ancestors who were also kidnapped and put to sleep as that baby. No different to all the babies of today caught up in the media of the hurricanes and cyclones of Bermuda. No different to all the babies asleep on social media. Because while we are lost in the dreams that were defined to us by others, telling us that this is our reality, this is who we really are, we will keep waking up asleep and going to bed asleep, performing the dreams of that inculcated, deep asleep baby that lives to make shapes of all that information that we hold under the name we are given, that we talked about in the last two videos. Episode 160 in your show and episode 158, I think the one previous, right, of your shows.
Yeah.
The thing about consciousness is that, let's get right back to the bigger picture, is that water is not only the breath that we breathe out each time we breathe out. Water is also the rain, it's the mist, it's all of space. There is nowhere where water isn't. Don't worry about the measurements of thin and thick, or of various textures that water appears to us as, because even the rocks are water. The soil is water. Everything inanimate or not is water. And it is a living membrane. It's a living consciousness that has no outside or inside, because it's undefined. It's an undefined presence of God that we are when we awaken from the deep sleep baby that we were put into. And this membrane cannot be escaped from. There's no occultist that can get outside of this membrane of water, of consciousness. There is, never has ever been anyone ever that can get outside of it, because it's impossible to do, because it's beyond measurement. There is no location outside that we can arrive at outside of this membrane of consciousness. Whether we go within and explore the depths of what we claim to be within, like in the movie The Journey to the Center of the Earth, we're in water, we're in the membrane. Or whether we go on spaceships and we journey out, we're still in the membrane. So, in spite of all the alchemy of system science that came out of the compass and square of measurements that define time, space, levels, planes, dimensions, quantities, thickness, color variations. These are all definitions that are designed to deceive you into falling inside these dreams to make shapes. So look at the occultists as making a sand pit. And every grain of sand inside that sand pit, the sand pit box, is a thought defined by occultists, originally started by the grand architect, a man, a brother, no different to you and I, who dreamt a defined reality to get man to fall inside this dream world he crafted. And he trained his child and those that were infected amongst the tribe, pre the system of Egypt, pre the rising up of the shapes of the system, pre-Pharaoh, pre-high priesthoods, pre-mystery Babylon, pre-secret societies. We're still in paradise. And a brother amongst us dreamt this divine reality and sang it as a song to give it movement, to give it mystery, to give it wonderment, to seduce brothers and sisters to become enchanted to his dreaming song. And inside that song, the repetition of the definition that one is contemplating on has them fall deeper and deeper into his dream world. And because there are more layers and layers of information that the man is singing within the song, there are many grains of sand in the sand pit, because every grain of sand is an idea that he made up. And he says to you, brother, here is a spade. Brother, sister, here is a sand bucket. Here is a shovel. Here is a pick. Here, I want you to enter my world. That is a song. He will not give you full disclosure of this deception, but he wants you to enter this sandpit. And so there you are, this baby that's come out of the womb, and you're playing with to make shapes in the sandpit. And every thought is defined because they are not your dreams. There's not a single thought there that is unique and original to you. You never created them. You have just copied them. You are representing them, right?
And
so
that's what I was confronted with today. I went to the market and get food, and I get into the market. Me, I'm always smiling. I'm happy. But I'm holding a joy. I not happy about happiness, but I'm trying to hold the joy in the moment. And I enter the market, I'm all de bonne humeur, and I go tell the guy that plays the legumes and stuff. And he said, "Oh, it's a beautiful day today. Life is beautiful." Then right away he tells me about the hurricane. I'm like, yeah, I felt weird. I felt like he wasn't there too much, or maybe his consciousness was somewhere else in the dream of someone else. You know, this is what I perceive. I'm not saying I have no compassion for what happened for people. It's not what I'm saying. Thought that is constantly, we're bombarded with thoughts from everywhere, from everyone, without even coming from us. Like we're so programmed to react like this and to carry that emotion, to carry the emotion all together. Like I felt it. I'm like, wow, I felt weird.
Well, that's part of what we're broaching in this video today, is that I want to continue this train of thought that I've been starting with, is that inside the sandpit, every drop, every grain of sand is that membrane of water. It's a drop of water that contains information that is defined, that is lineal, that are born out of the measurements of the compass and square. Because the measurements of the compass and square is the deep sleep one falls into. Because when you are lulled into a finite dream world, you have put to sleep the undefined consciousness that is beyond measurement of who we really are. So the occults that are in the sandpit go deep, because you can dig deep and make tunnels. You can make rabbit warrens if it's wet enough. You can make castles. You can make all kinds of shapes with toy soldiers and go to war and battle. But the point is that the occultists that evolved out of this intention to keep man asleep as the baby that arrived in the womb for a whole lifetime, right, is the entertainment of the system that comes at us instant by instant. It will come as horror. It will come as sensations of joy by association with rewards of the system, the trinkets, the jewels that we get from working hard for receiving your pay and your wages. You'll be able to hop in the car to go away for a weekend and take your family away, right? There are 1,001 ways we remain enchanted in this fake joy and fake happiness, which we touched on the last show, by putting a Rastafarian song on, putting a DVD about, putting Deep Purple on us, or Black Sabbath. We get mesmerized by the mathematical charts of music, by the mathematical design of instruments, by the mathematical charts that form orchestras of sound. But all of it is that deep sleep baby, because it's all defined, and we are manipulated to take on the sandpit, to make shapes of a life out of it, not knowing anything else outside the boundaries of the sandpit box that we remain imprisoned to for the whole and duress of a life deep asleep. So hurricanes, cyclones, earthquakes, tidal waves are entertainment. They are the entertainment of impure thoughts and intentions that we create. It does not matter whether occultists and those in the science of alchemy manipulating, using HAARP, using chemtrails, using bioweapons of mass destruction, they claim. It's still entertainment. It is a defined dream world that embroils us in controversy, that embroils us in confusion, and emotion. Now, emotion is the big one, because E-motion. E is the priest of Freemasonry, is the ecclesiastical code, E. These are the occultists like Ma Queen. These are the occultists like Sasha Stone and Max Eigen, David Icke. They are entertainers. They entertain your deep sleep state so you never wake up, because they feed you with nonsense to keep the emotion running. Because while you are that baby asleep in the sandpit, you will continue to make shapes in the water of your breath of that sandpit, believing that it is to be true, believing your freedom is there, believing your consciousness is there, believing everything and everything, including gurus from India, from the Himalayas and Tibet, including all the music that comes out of mathematical configurations of the oldest notes and sounds that come out of Tibet. They are still the occults of early Egypt. Because the truth is, there is no guru. There is no other man that exists to define you. A man who comes to define you is lying to you, because a real man is undefined. No man can shape another man's existence without making a copy of that man's intent, that man's intention. And this is emotion, which we talked about in some of the earlier videos. If you want to create a robot, you have a specific intention for that. And that intention bears information that carries out the outcome of the intention that you hold as that dream. So it's no different to a song with a beginning and an end. The song starts, you go through it, and you come to the end. The robot is crafted, it's manufactured, it's given a life, and it's got an end, a death certificate. Every action that compels the robot comes from the information of the emotion that the robot has taken on. So you are the puppet master pulling, the marionette robot, and the cultists manipulate this so that we not only manufacture the robot, the person, the doll that we put in the last 2 shows. It's not with us today because she's resting.
That's good.
She's
I thought I was going to see the doll again.
Well, we could bring her out, but she is resting.
Okay.
And we don't want to disturb those who that might frighten them to come out of the baby state.
You know, I was thinking about that doll. And,
yeah, this is a reality show.
Not a fantasy show.
That's
so
it.
Anyway, look,
Keep going. Yeah.
The emotion is the intention of those who dream for you to perform what they want you to do in every instant of your life. And the English alphabet language and all other alphabet languages is that emotional program for the robot to carry out the instructions.
In the sandpit.
In the sandpit, making shapes. In the water of our breath, we're switching analogies, but you get the bigger picture. So emotion is another man behind us, coveting us, commanding us. They act as God, telling us how we should think, how we should feel, how we should journey to derive the outcomes of the journey that we entertain, as in a career, as in going to a rock concert, as in drinking a beer, as in having sex. There are many, many ways we produce fruit that come from these satanic rituals. So the emotion is just the compelling program of brothers and sisters who turned against brothers and sisters of man to dictate to them the commandments of how you should live your daily life and the outcomes, right? So they manufacture these robots through the inculcation of the alphabet languages you are inculcated into. And it is lineal because everything is defined to keep you inside the sandpit box, so you can never step outside of it. And while you remain inside the sandpit, you are deep asleep. Do not wake the baby.
And if the baby shows any sign of waking up, that's when it's captured and brought back into, whether it's a psychologist or a counselor or just some sort of reprogramming.
Yeah, massaging the unconsciousness to keep the unconscious looking conscious and normal for us. So the point is that when you manufacture this robot, it carries the intention of all the information contained in the dream from the sandpit that we are playing with. And no matter where we are in the sandpit making shapes, the information of the sandpit goes deeper and deeper and deeper, while more and more keep getting added to it to keep you mesmerized and discombobulated, so you never know where it begins and ends. You can't sense your way out of it because all you know is nonsense. That's all you know is nonsense. You don't sense anything. Even when you're thinking sense, it's still nonsense. That's not sense. So
that's weird. But when I was young, I was always having a dream, and I was so scared of it. I was waking up all the time, and it was a sand pit. It was a vortex of sand going down into a drain, and I was aspire every time into it. Like, it's weird, eh? And you talk about that tonight.
That's the baby asleep, and we're resisting that. Some of us will fight and struggle somewhere across the journey of this robotic life, where the light's turning on because we're getting outside of the nonsense, because the sandpit is a light of illumination. It's a brilliant, glorious light. Every grain of sand is radiating a light, but it's a fake light. And the depth of this light is illumination. It's not a natural light. It's the moonlight, which we talked about in the early shows with you. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3 of the background of the system. We talked about this and the eclipse of the sun and the dark side of the moon, and Eric Dubai's flat earth is a scam. It's a cult. So we talk about a lot of that defaulting back, but the grain of sand is just a water of our breath of information that compels us to perform the ritual of the information that was commanded to us by the occultists. Right? So we are making shapes as those robots, carrying out the intentions of the occultist. Now, obviously, boredom will set in for all robots because they have a heart that beats. They're alive, and they are using their senses. You cannot manufacture a robot without sensors still operating for the man. Otherwise, there's nothing there. You can't pick up a dead body that's got no sense in it, no heartbeat, and keep it going forever and do all the work that it does, because we are the laborers. As the robots, we're doing everything to manufacture, not just the hurricanes in Bermuda right now, through our dreaming, because they're the shapes we make with our impure thoughts, impure intentions, which are fantasy, where we give energy to lies. And inside that is the trauma and all the trauma that comes with it. We can't escape the shapes we form in the dream of life, because it is, no matter where we are, our consciousness, the true consciousness, is present. We cannot arrive anywhere where our presence is not. Wherever we go with our sense, we are there. We're always there, no matter where we journey with the sense. And I'm not talking about linear time and space journey. It's just using sense. Whenever you go, even in the occults, and they say light years, black sun, as in David Bowie's song, and you look at the imagery, it is man there making the shapes. It is man's thought and man's dreaming. And everyone caught up in the mysticism is man to that experience in the sandpit, playing with the shapes of the occults. But the mystery, the greatest mystery of it all, don't wake the baby. Don't wake up the baby. And that is why we are all called citizens, because we are wards of the state. We are babies in a crib, in a nursery home that really is a mental asylum, because that's what the system is, of lunatics. But the baby is asleep. So you walk into the bedroom quietly and you walk around quietly. Don't wake the baby. It's sleeping. And all the occultists who are initiated into these truths do this amongst us. They will keep you entertained to maintain the distraction. So you're embroiled in the shapes you make in the sandpit and the shapes that your brothers and sisters make in the sandpit. But they don't want you to see that you are the one with your thought, your dream, present to this entertainment that keeps you as their slave, their entertained robot, carrying out their will. Because all in the end, it's just a dream. Whose dream are we dreaming? If we continue to dream their dreams, they must lull us and keep us in a lulled sleep. Don't wake the baby. And we call them adults. We call them social media on Facebook. They're all babies. Even everyone listening to this are babies.
And we're supposed to be mature too. We're supposed to be mature adult.
Because our head has been inculcated by the grains of sand we continue to play with to make shapes in the water of our breath that we become lost in. We're so enchanted. And while we do that, we are that inculcated, emotionalized energy, because it is our life force energy of what we sense directed into the images of ABC 1, 2, 3. And we fall in love because our heart is there, which we talked about in the last two shows. We think, really, this is who we are. We really believe we are doing the right thing. Right? Just ignore everyone else that, excuse me, I've got to disconnect the USB device in, that comes up on our computer screen. We are just in the emotion of shapes we make in the water of our breath. We've practiced making these shapes. That is like wearing a shirt or a dress And we wear it every day. And we become so familiarized with this social engineering that the depth of the fashion statement is the depth of the grains of sand we play inside the sandpit, where not a single dream is ours. We've not created any of it because it was all defined. And that's why we have libraries within libraries of books. Why the law has so many precedences in the law. Because the baby must not wake up. It is all about keep the fucking baby asleep. But do you want to wake up? Do you want to wake up and get out of the crib? Because you've got to climb out of the sandpit.
Yeah,
You
but
can't think
and most of us don't know we're in a crib.
They don't know. They don't realize that the birth certificate is the contract to be that deep asleep baby, the ward of the state, under the state, the psycho state of California, of whatever state you're in. Is it Quebec or Ontario, whatever it is? Quebec, right? Quebec. Okay, it's the state of Canada. The state of New South Wales, right? The state of Tasmania, the state of Texas. Right? You're in a state because the state is a crib of psychos protected by the occultists who believe they are your shepherds to protect you for a lifetime because they believe that's their job. They really do. Many of these occultists really believe they're doing the right thing. Their heart's in the right place. And they come across as really nice guys. Santa Bonacci, he's not evil. He's just a fucking idiot lost in the inculcation of astrotheology. He's been lulled to sleep through the occults that he was enchanted with because you only find it in the sandpit. It's defined. They're not his dreams. But his good heart is there. And so when he communicates, his good heart is there with you and me. He's our brother. But if we can't see past this, we get lulled into maintaining the do not wake the baby up. We must remain unconscious. Because to be conscious is to be undefined, which means there's not a single thought that has been defined to us there in what we sense. And when you have an undefined dream, the man is there, and there is paradise. It's very simple.
From generation to generation, we always have everything defined, you know, so that's what we're used to. We're used to have everything defined, and we love it. We love the fantasy. So how are we getting out of this? How we're reaching the art of, because we have to reach their art. That's what we must do to really get them out that crib to wake up and start to freaking yell. You gotta get mad.
Exactly. This is why you have people on your Google group who think that this man, Arthur, is lost, that he's lying, that he's on an ego trip, all the bullshit they come with. They won't be able to prove a single thing that this man is saying is a lie. They just have their belief because they love the deep sleep. That's all they got. And it's so frightening underneath to realize how deep the lie goes. Oh, my God, because we can take you to the edge of the lie, and you're going to look down an abyss so far. Because that's how long you've spent lying. And why it's so dark, because the true light ain't there. It's an illumination. It's very easy. Anyone who wants to take this man on, prove what this man is saying is a lie. Don't you sit there and just make claims. Use scrutiny and bring forward first-party evidence to back your claims. It's very simple. You'll find no one can. Because this man doesn't own the truth. This man goes where truth takes this man. And if there's anything this man says, this man will apologize and correct that part and replace it with the truth and move on.
I would like you to explain that part that you just said, you go where the truth takes you, because that's what Jabba keep telling me, and I didn't know what to answer. I didn't know what he meant. So that's why I never answered him. I never even know what he meant, where the truth takes me. I live the truth. I'll go wherever the heck I want to go. Like,
Jabba's
what do you mean by this?
Jabba's heart is in the right place, just like everyone. but the inculcation of the script that he was running is no different to Santo Bonacci running astrotheology. Jabba's still coming to his living dream. He senses this too. But he's leaned on this man and on this woman, for his medium, which impacted music and song. There's nothing wrong about that. It's just that we get lost in the script. And what happens when we are lost in the script, we do the best we can to reach brothers and sisters. So he reaches out to you to wake you up. Right? Everything he says to you is the truth. He's not lying to you. Where it goes wrong is when we don't sense the intentions of Janik and to nurture Janik so that Janik, the man, can wake up in the crib, stand up in the crib and climb out of the crib by the man himself. We can't do that for Janik. So you've got to know the difference between malevolent intent by those who want to discriminate you, attack you, put you down, harass you, do anything to keep you and the audience in the crib. Because that isn't a malevolent intent. And that's where this man attacks those liars like Mama Queen or Santos Bonacci. They all got good hearts, as all the occultists do. Right? They come as lambs, but behind it are teeth of fucking wolves who want to fuck you over. And you're too asleep to see it. Because it was done to them too. The mark of the beast was done to them, as they're doing to everyone else. And they work by stealth to not wake the baby up. They come into your dreams to manipulate your dreaming. That's why Mama Queen was in your head. The only reason why she's in your fucking head. Because
but I don't feel her that much in my...
They don't want the baby Janik to wake up. Jabba was wanting to wake you up. He loves you unconditionally, brother. Jabba decided to go to war through the script of the Love for Life Insights to smash you with. You don't do that. You nurture Janik, like we're doing with you. So we set the example. We're not better or smarter. We're not always right, as people have claimed when the Jabba thing came up. It's not about always being right. That's also the baby asleep bullshit. So the true intent is to inspire brothers and sisters to recognize the deep sleep of nonsense, of a defined reality that is all those grains of sand, that is the water of your breath you've given shape to, that formed the social engineering of your fashion statement up to right now, that you walk around and talk around as your consciousness, as your creed, as your race, as your ideas, but they are not your dreams when you are copying another man's dream. They're still not of your sense. You could listen to all the Love for Life work. You could study for the next 10 years, as we know people have. But if they don't wake up, they are still the baby in the crib performing the Love for Life script. And we've seen babies come to stay with us. One of them was on this show, bless his heart, with a lot of courage, a lot of guts to admit it. So we do not discriminate Jabba. We encourage Jabba. We're just saying to Jabba, when you use the Love for Life scripts, be aware of those and make sure they do not have a malevolent intent to carry out a schedule of destruction and chaos and controversy on your Facebook wall, amongst your Facebook group, in your community of brothers and sisters in reggae, and elsewhere, because the occultists come to infiltrate, to perform these rituals. And Jabba detected Mama Queen, as this man did, as this woman did. And you saw what happened last year after the first during the first 2 to 3 episodes of part 1, part 2, part 3 of the background of the system, right? And you knew that whole situation. Then we ended up with a pause that went on for many months before we reconnected our show with you. And the show is the sharing, not the show of We're in the Zhani show, we're actually showing you the truth of the nonsense. So Jabba, all power to him. He's one of the true heroes, man. He's got guts. He puts his life on the fucking line. Like this man has done, like this woman has done. We don't just sit around and talk about it. We confront the fucking police. We confront authorities. We confront even David Botcher on the Ordo Templi Orientis. But we nurture them. They're not our enemy. When you have passion, you direct it with your power of life to evoke in them the horror of what they are performing, because they're in the emotion of that ritual. Because who you really are is not on their radar. They don't sense you. And that's what happens in Love Life scripts. If someone runs it, when you run it on someone else, they may not be on your radar and you won't sense them. You get lost in the righteousness of what you think is doing the right thing. But that's what they're doing. That's what the man David Smith as the police officer does. They really truly believe they're doing the right thing. Most of the time.
Most of us think we're doing the right thing in every situation. It's rare that you're going to meet people that are very, very, like I've never met super evil psychopath people in my life other than the politicians.
Mama Queen's one of them.
Some politicians.
One of them, I'm telling you. There are people have died under her influence through the networks. We know other occultists around us over the last 8 years. We know one particular brother who was murdered. He was murdered.
She's not around me, and I don't know. I don't feel what you're saying.
Doesn't matter. We see
if you want to think it, me, I have nothing to defend here. I don't come here to be prosecute or defend anything. I know who I am. I know who I am. No one can get into my head. So not even you, not even nobody. Nobody can get in my head. I know who I am. Not even Mark Queen, not even Jabba, not even you, not even the listeners here. I'm very, very focused. So it might have got under my skin a little bit, but not to a point to get to my head. So it's just, I think we're just running around on the hamster wheel here because it's...
defend here.
I'm not offended at all.
We know who we are. The space is there for people to share the truth of what they're experiencing. We don't have to defend anything because nothing's been taken to be stolen or anything.
No.
Right. So that's what really goes on. And you'll find all the emotion behind this. There's huge amounts of emotion involved in this. That's why you defend. That's why brothers defend. They stand up. What you're standing up is fake. I'm telling you that right now. It's fake. Because if you know who you are, there is nothing to defend. Because you already are.
But that's why I'm not reacting. I'm just responsive. I respond to your thing, but I'm not...
In the years to come, maybe you'll observe some of these things, how it works, because this is how Mama Queen influences other people. And look, there are many things we have noticed. It's just taken us the time, the waking life, to contemplate and use scrutiny to work out these stealth tactics. Well, there were particular women who came into our lives, and men, and came here many times and got involved, and in the process began to perform these rituals of chaos and war, of division, of conflict, and to make things destruct if the emotions are allowed to run wild, because it pins on the doubt and uncertainty that we carry. There's one particular woman, I'm not going to mention her name, but we know that she is responsible for the COINTEL of the PSYOPs that murdered someone close to all of us. That man was murdered. The reckoning is still to come for this woman, and the reckoning of others involved in that PSYOPs are still to come, because we saw them at his funeral. We know who they are, and we hold their curse to be processed in this life by them and their children, and it will appear as sickness and disease and all kinds of things to them until they clean up the lie with all those they used against everyone to manipulate. Mama Queen does the same thing. She is just a priestess of the snake. The snake that comes into your dream world, comes into anyone's dream world to implant suggestions, to manipulate fantasy, to exploit dreaming in the sandpit, where one maintains their deep sleep state so the baby still does not wake up while they're still under the ritual of the inculcation that they perform as that fucking robot drone. Because all around us in the system is that. Right? So this is not an attack on the man. There's no man, even including Janik, being attacked by us here. We are just exposing the rituals that have compromised brothers and sisters everywhere. And when you defend, it's showing you the emotion of that inculcation present. When you're truly free, you're at peace, and your brother has space to share. And the table where we sit around and share is not rocked and tipped in that way. But we can go to the tables of the liars and tip them and smash them, because it is a hornet's nest of slavery. And that's what usury is all about. And the banking interest and all the whole thing of commerce and all the centers, the main central points where it all comes out of. Tip those tables, smash them, bring down those false idol temples, destroy them. But you don't have to hurt the brothers and sisters of the occults lost in it. Now, we just saw yesterday, someone sent to us a link of these women in India, mothers, who captured a child pedophile. He captured an 8-year-old child, one of the mother's daughters, raped and murdered that child. And the mothers found the guy, tied him up, and all the mothers took sticks and belted the man to death. They killed him. They went past the law that protects this. This is what's going to happen now amongst many of us today here. We must expose and attack the fucking pedophiles and all those who are fucking the social engineering, who are making confusion and making brothers and deeper sleep and scared and frightened. And there is an armada of vigilantes out there. We know them. We will not be one of them, because that's not our job. But it's coming, the reckoning of all those people who lied in the courts, all those people lied in institutions. Their names are recorded. Their reckoning is coming. This is going to be far worse than the French Revolution, guys. Far, far worse. And it has to happen, because there's no other way to protect the innocent, because we gave up to protect them, because we ourselves were compromised. So this is not a horror campaign, a retribution. This is not an answer back of fuck you. It's not about that. It's because we sold out to be those wards of the state in the cribs, those babies asleep, to allow these assholes to run their routines, to perform injustice, to kidnap people and bash mothers who are pregnant, to put innocent people in jail who have committed no crimes by the lies of all the statutes that were performed. The horror of the truth is awakening, because this breath reaches every man everywhere now.
But we're very much desensitized from sensing all that stuff, and that's the.
Not anymore. It's happening.
No, I know it's that, but I mean the general population is very much desensitized. Like we can't sense anything.
You don't see these things generally played in media, but it is happening now. More and more are standing up to them. Some of them are actually murdering them. Some of them working together that we're aware of to murder them, because they have to be removed, because they are out of control. They do not take responsibility to stop this inculcation, this lying system, this dream world.
That's why they're preparing a graveyard in the States, the size of I don't know how many football field. I saw all kinds of coffin in there.
It's for them. The FEMA camp is for them, and all the underground bases and tunnels and things is for them. Don't forget, The sarcophagi buried in all their pyramids and all their old temples of Egypt is them. They all prepared for the afterlife, but they all fucking died. One hit, gone. One shot, all over. That's what's happening. You cannot lie your way out of this by talking your way out of this to justify the evil of your ways. We talk to the occultists who watch this, because they do watch this. They know we're not lying to them. They're just too fucking scared. They're gutless. Because they're worried about what will happen to their children. What happens to their careers when it gets played out. The reason Rome and Babylon collapses is because they flee it and bring it down in doing it to stop this insanity. We are in the times of this, end times, but it will not play out the way David Icke and Santo Bonacci and Max Igan and all those who are shaping this end time with a new type of man, because that's what the new order is. It's a new type of engineered, social engineered man with a whole new kind of social fashion statement that has been defined, that comes with a talking consciousness and a talking freedom and a talking truth and a talking that is still not a man, because they default to the Pax Romanus we talked about so much in the last two videos. Everything is to Pax Romanus, because the Pax Romanus is the baby in the crib asleep. They gave up responsibility to be a man, to stand up and say fucking no. That's what this man has done for the last, in the system, 11 years. Dropped it all. This man says, fuck you, I am not your slave, but you're my brother. And that's why I do this work. Put it out on the internet. Share these insights. Dedicate these 16-hour days, 7 days a week, as this woman who supported it. Not to be a martyr, not to be a guru, not to have to be followed, but to end it. Because I don't want to live in this fucking lie. I want to live in the truth amongst brothers of the truth, which means everyone must return to being undefined. So there's no cult in this. We have no cult. You can't when you return to the truth. So when you meet people under a social engineering fashion statement, like Tibetan lamas, Buddhists, you know you're in a lie of social engineering. And you listen to all the alphabet mantras in your head that come as song. They are the lullaby that keeps the baby asleep, because they are all in the system. All the Buddhists are in the system. All the Jews are in the system. All those in Tibet are in the system. All those in China are in the system. They all defaulted to Pax Romanus. Right? This is all Egypt, the system. These are the old early stages of the system being brought back. So, to go back, we're talking about the water of our breath and the shapes we make. We need to be conscious of where the information is coming from. Because if we don't, then our master is the one who receives our life energy for giving our life to those shapes in the sandpit. So while we live for the shapes in the sandpit, we serve the master who built the sandpit and all the authorities that represent that master, the grand architect. So everything we do is to prop up and maintain the power structure of that fucking sandpit. So if you don't wake up, that's all you are doing, and all will ever be doing. So watch out for the good heart that comes with a marriage certificate, that comes with a birth certificate, that comes with a driver's license, because we're all fucking liars. It doesn't mean that we're outside the sandpit. It means you still serve your master. That's why we say to these occultists, who is your master? We always ask them, tell us who your master is. Because the man ain't there. The occultist who comes to you is not a man. The man is performing a script, acting as an occultist. We call him Santos Bonacci, or Mama Queen. I only say it here on the show because you relate to it, because you've had experiences with these living brothers and sisters. But the point is, you've got to hit them with a fucking baseball bat of truth. Stop fucking lying. Stop mesmerizing brothers and sisters. Stop trying to slip inside brothers and sisters with your stealth to manipulate them subconsciously to perform these fucking rituals to keep them asleep. Because that's what Mama Queen does. And there's thousands of them, guys. When you watch the assassination of JFK, you're watching Jacqueline Kennedy doing the fatal shot. She is a priestess of the snake. She is no different to Mama Queen. She did the fatal shot. Right? But you've got to remember, she was away for weeks with Aristotle Onassis and others in the occults. And it was a ritual set up. So there's a proto-film. When you watch carefully and look at what you sense, not the explanations, explaining everything to you by all the expert commentators out there, which is how the cults work. They come to hijack. They'll try to hijack our work, right, and twist it. This is what we talked about in one of the earlier shows with the name work we brought out in 2005, 2007, right, with Kata Gaia, a transvestite, to bring in association with us, to try to discredit us by association of the work, so that down the line, all those influenced by the name work think that Love for Life is all caught up with this fucking transvestite. And so to try to dismantle. The same thing happened with the assassination of JFK and his assassination of his brother. It's not about the politics, guys. Forget about Republican, Democrat. It's about the heart of man. There are a lot of brothers amongst us coming out of these occultic families, waking up, and they are scared. And we need sanctuary for these people while they continue doing this work. But we can't do it while we're sitting around on fucking social media thinking and talking truth and treating and getting caught up in disclosure work and arguing over controversies of who's doing that. No, it doesn't do anything. You're distracted. You're still that fucking baby in the crib. Lost to the trinkets and the bells ringing away inside there. You're out of the way. They've got you exactly where they want you. Right? Yeah. The true story of Buddha was hijacked. The true story of what we now call Jesus Christ was hijacked and twisted. The true story of all the greats were hijacked and twisted, because the truth is very simple. It's this we're sharing with you. And all brothers who wake up, face the enemy. Our own brothers and sisters of the occults. It was never the Jews or the Rothschilds or the Rockefellers. They are part of the effects of the occults on those brothers and sisters, lost to those scripts as Jew, as Wog, as German, as Illuminati, as the Bilderbergers, the Council of Foreign Relations, the Australian Institute of International Affairs, the British Institute of International Affairs is where most of the intel operatives come out of, both of them, the Australian and the British. Because they find you at preschool, they find you in schools, they pick you, you come from their families. They find you in music, in the music industry and that, and you fucking sell out to it. And that's what we're up against. Our own brothers and sisters with good hearts who sold out to this agenda. You say that's why judges give you the impression that they're good guys upholding the law. Why that judge said to Fiona, when Fiona confronted, this is off the back of the David Bottrell, the Ordo Templi Orientis scam. And you can see all the work, all the documents in Darkness Visible Part 1. You'll see it all then. You'll see it in the satanic craft of...
Whoops. Frozen time. Maybe I'll light up one. That's a time to froze. Easy frozen? I think so. Yeah, I think it's time to wake up. Get out the crib. I've been having that kind of speech for a while now. How many times I came here and tried to shake the foundation and tell us that we must wake up and smell the coffee. Yeah, lots of us like coffee. Smell the coffee, wake up. But I think it's a process that's it's ongoing for sure. There's something happening, but many of us are still very deeply compromised for sure. But, like, I don't know. To me, it's not about I'm not into the. Anyway, that's not my kind of thing to point finger at people. I'm not into this. Never been. I don't think it's the solution, but if we have to point fingers, we have to point them. That's all. Like, what has to be must be. What has to be must be. That's a good one. So Arthur should show back up very soon. He should be coming back. We'll see. If not, it was very interesting. As usual, always very informative, very much on fire. What I like about Arthur is he's true and honest, and he doesn't hold back. But other people's opinion of me doesn't have to become my reality. So it's just opinion people have. Like I said, I know who I am. I know what I bring here. I know what I came to do. I know who I am. I'm very much at peace. I have nothing to prove to anyone anyway. I don't give a shit about that. I have nothing to prove. I'm very much at peace with who I am, with how I've came with this journey about so far. So if you don't like it, you don't have to be here. Anyway, I'm not here to be liked or to be not a fucking guru or anything like that. I'm just a very fucked up guy trying to find his way back home. My ways might not be the best, so don't follow me. I don't know if my ways are good or if you gotta find your own way. That's what we all have to do. We all have to take responsibility for our life and create something that's gonna, first of all, inspire you to wake up, to move out that crib and to break free from the programming and the madness. And I think we can all do it. It's all a matter of will. Do you want to wake up or not? Do you want to get rid of your evil ways or not? It's up to you. I cannot do it for you. You cannot do it for me. But at least we can look at things and try to make changes in our. I woke up but hit the snooze button. Yeah, many of us are on the snooze button. That's the thing. That's the pause button. We have to disengage the pause button and maybe re-engage more. And Arthur is back.
We're back.
Yeah, I seen that.
Shut down again.
It's okay. I was here.
So, carry on. We're talking about brothers and sisters who are lost on stage acting out the roles of what they perform in the system, right? The purpose of all of this is to keep the entertainment of everyone's stage life, because everyone's on stage, the system is the stage, and everyone is embroiled in the act, because we do not want to wake the baby. That's what the occultists say. Do not wake the baby. The assassination of JFK is that. Don't wake up the baby. Don't wake anyone who could potentially inspire man's heart to soar outside the sandpit. Do not wake the baby. Kill him. The orders will come down. Don't wake up the baby. Right? So you've got to get past all this. Get past all of this. Because our head is spinning with do not wake up the baby. Because that's what the alphabets do. Lull you. It's subliminal because it bears the intention of those dreams that others crafted that are now inside your head, mesmerizing and dancing with you, that you form the fashion statements of your social engineering as the man who now walks and talks in the alphabet languages you live and talk. You see? So all of this is of the occults. And so it doesn't matter where it comes from. the purpose, the only purpose, is to create freedom for brothers to be outside the sandpit so they can dream dreams that are undefined, where the man is not answerable to another man, because it is there where we have paradise, because a man who lives like that will never covet another man, has no intention to capture another man and bring them under that image power. So that to set free our brothers and sisters, we not only have got to see the scam of all the definitions that formed the sandpit, that formed the ego, the E-go of every man who's lost in arguing for their fake reality. Because they want everyone to be that baby asleep, because they're still asleep. And they will argue and fight for everyone else who's still asleep. Just all that's happened, the trinkets, mum and dad just came in, mum and dad occultists came in, took down a certain kind of trinkets that are hanging above the crib of the baby, and put another set of new ones there. And you can imagine every day a new set come up, and so the fascination of the child is just mesmerized. And it's all inside your head, spinning, as you are that baby with the sand, with inside the sand, making shapes. I'm nearly finished. Making shapes. So the voice of this man, the passion of this man is this: wake up out of this crib. Stop fucking arguing for your social engineering statements, because that means you keep defaulting to the system of Pax Romanus. Because everyone who wants flat earth want the system, because they're all under Pax Romanus. They don't have the ability to dream outside of all of this. To be that man of peace that won't covet another man for anything.
And this is why they can't go where the truth takes them. You brought that up. You said, what does it mean? It's literally that. It's being able to look at all those beliefs in your head and realize the fallacy of them, and so drop them and keep going. And as he said, we've, many times we'll go along, and if someone can point out to us, hey, look at what you're saying, that's actually not right, then we're happy to drop it and go. But what happens generally in the system, say I'm religious, say some people do, say I'm religious and I have my beliefs. If someone comes and points out to me my religion is not the truth and not working, most of the time we push aside the truth that we've been offered and keep going with the religion. We don't go where the truth takes us. We don't say, oh, I can see now the fallacy of what I'm believing in my head, so I'm going to put that aside and keep exploring. That's going where the truth takes you, being prepared to put aside all those things that you find in your thinking, all those beliefs that are spinning around in your head, and realize that they're fantasy and that they're just part of you being the dumbed down robot.
Good-hearted robot.
Prepared to go, okay, I'm going to put that aside now and not keep placing my belief in there because someone showed me this is wrong. Most people won't do that. Most people go, this does not fit into my belief system, therefore I will not entertain it. So that's what Jabba's saying when he says, go where the truth takes you. He's saying, are you prepared, anyone, are you prepared to examine what you're thinking and put aside that which is a lie?
Which also is the behavior, because what you think forms the actions. That's what the intention is all about, because an intention carries the information of thoughts that were conceived by others with an outcome. So that's why English bears intent, because it's actions we carry out all the time. And that's what Jabba's on about. This is what we're on about and have been for years and years with this thing. So when we confront brothers and sisters, we're not making things personal with the man's heart. We're just showing the ritual of the inculcation that formed their Wonderland fantasy, which they entered into as the social engineering. You see, all those who complain about what we say are having shattered to them the fucking fake belief systems they have, because they will never be able to prove anything they claim about what we say, because we can prove to them everything they believe to be fake, because they're in third party representing their belief system. There's no first party their belief system. You can't go to God that the Christians claim exists. You can't go to the Jesus. You can only go to the third party man acting as the representative of Jesus, or the representative of the man acting as freedom or consciousness or flat earth. We can't take man to flat earth. We can only take man to lineal technology and lineal constructs. So you're looking through everything. It's lineal. So you'll only see linear because that's the Wonderland fantasy that you've blown up and you're inside it. That's no different to being trapped in a religion, a Buddhism, or the Jesuits that formed the Muhammad faith, because it was the Jesuits that created the Quran. It was made by fucking occultists inside the high levels of the Jesuit orders. It's all in the books. You can see it, the evidence of it. So look, we're getting past all of this. The point is, do you have the courage to examine every single thought in your head and look at where it's coming from and who it serves? Can you not see the thoughts defaulting to the Pax Romanus and the system that keeps you asleep as the baby in the crib, so you have no willpower to stand up and bring down the whole fucking system? Because when you walk outside the sandpit, you've destroyed it all in walking away from it. And you can do it non-violently with just your courage and power to stand up. Most fight for the crib, and most get manipulated by occultists who whisper certain subliminal words inside these heads, and they'll come even on your Google chat. They will come in the conversations. This is not about paranoia. You just got to know how this really works, because it's all about don't wake the baby up, because the baby is a fucking giant. It's magnificent. It is fucking incredible. It is God, because that is what we are. But we don't own it. It's undefined. You don't worship it. You don't worship the man. You don't worship the man's creation. You be it and live it and expand it. There's no reflection. That's why we use these pictures of self-obsession, because when you fall into the story of the definitions, it is now a fake self that one becomes obsessed with, because the definition is the social engineering of the fashion statement of those thoughts, that the sentence structures that forms flat earth, that forms the opinions of a belief or a faith. And it's in there that the fabric, one gets lost in the fantasy land, because it's all man-made. It's only man there. There's no God there. It's only man there. Deep asleep man there. There's no one else there in the fantasy land. All those who made it were man. All those lost in performing it are man. Right? And all those who leave it are man. There's never been fallen angels. There's no other planets out there. There's other alien entities out there. It's just fucking man creating shapes with the water of our breath, energizing and forming them. And the more who align with that religion of an image, a definition, we can energize it with our life energy and make it come back at us in our image and become mesmerized by our own fantasy, of our own intention. And this works in all of the occults. Self-obsession is at the root of the system. Right? Imagine a dream. And you hold a dream, and you're putting information in this dream because you're contemplating on this dream. You're holding this dream like a bubble in your hand. And you want to bring your brothers and sisters inside this dream to rejoice in this dream that you have created. But there's not enough room in it for your brothers and sisters to come in and be real, because it's so small that the only way another man could come in is to take on the social engineering of all the definitions that you've provided inside the bubble. Right? So imagine that dream as an orchestra, and you want this orchestra. You're dreaming for an orchestra of brothers and sisters to sing a majestic song of life, to perform a majestic song of life. But there's no room there for another man to play it naturally, undefined. Now you imagine occultists who've created a dream, or they've taken on a dream from a brother that is defined. And the only ones who can come inside the stream must be defined, so they can pick up the instruments to perform the sounds of the orchestra to perform the symphony. Right? Now, the man of the heart can't do it because the man who's undefined can't fit into this tiny, tiny space. There's no room to get in there. The man of the heart is ostracized, is discriminated against, is censored, is ignored and rejected because that man wakes up the baby, wakes up all those lost inside the dream playing the orchestra of the symphony because they're all the babies in the crib. The system is a symphony of the devil incarnate, the doll that we showed you, of self-obsession. And the whole of the system is Pax Romanus, because the man has been conquered by the occultists who dominate their dreaming. Because the dreamers, who are the orchestra players in the symphony, only hold the song that was provided to them, the musical charts, the musical instruments, the notations.
And those that can perform the definitions of the best are the ones who are given the lead roles, the first violinist, the star opera singer. They're the ones given, those are the ones who are holding the definitions more clearly and can perform them clearly.
Even the occultists will use their best of their own bloodlines, as a Russell Crowe, for example. You know, they're all trained. They train them to be great actors. They bring forth their own as much as possible, or they will conscript from outside the brilliant ones. But they are subjected to performing only inside this fucking black, illuminated, dead dream. Because the baby must sleep. Every occultist is already that baby. They are asleep. Because you would not covet another man if you were not asleep. You would not put your energy into destroying or attacking another man for any reason, because you'd have no doubt or uncertainty about the magnificence of man. And that shows you the lie of all the occultists who believe they need to protect their brothers and sisters as shepherds to sheep, who must lead them. The lie of this. Because all the sheep were never allowed to dream. Undefined. They were defined, they were attacked by the very fucking occults that the occultists are worshipping. So that is the self-fulfilling, where we create dreams and give shape to them. It's only man there. It was always man there. There's never been anything else but man there. It's always man. Everything else is a fantasy. So when you look at self-obsession, it is only a man there, fighting for the obsession that defines the fake self. And the fake self is frightened by any man who comes along to say, wake up, baby. Get out of that social engineering that you're running as a front, that puts up the looking good, nice heart persona. Because it's fake, because you don't survive it. You only survive it because you believe in the lie that you are broken. But when you're not broken, there's nothing to survive because you already are it. You're living it and being it. It's already present. And wherever you sense, you are there. You're outside of the sandpit. You expand your sense as far as you dream it to be. And you are there as a man.
If you have the dream you dream in your bubble is really one of true freedom for all your brothers and sisters, then there has to be space in that dream for your brothers and sisters to be the magnificent undefined reality they are. Otherwise, you have no dream of freedom.
Yep.
And this is the difficulty. Nearly everybody out there who's thinking they're dreaming a dream of freedom is only dreaming a dream of definitions of freedom, which is why there is no space for brothers and sisters to come and be that song of undefined reality, to pick up their instruments and play as the undefined, magnificent reality they are.
And that instrument is nature, not a mathematical chart mathematical design instrument.
That's the problem with all the, and this is what the occultists rely on as well, that all the remedies being offered are these defined realities, these defined remedies. So there is no room for true freedom within any of them.
See, self-obsession is meddling in the dreams of another man's life. That's what self-obsession is. This is why occultists are meddling in your life, why they've introduced media, Hollywood, technology, digital or not. They have done everything possible, from their alchemy that led to drugs and eating white rice, white flour, processing things to make the giant sleep. So they are susceptible to being manipulated by the occultist dreaming, their dream world, and inspire the baby asleep to rise up the fake dream. This is why the occultists are in your fucking head. There is no other reason why they are there. Why David Icke does what he does. Why all those sucked in with David Icke do what they do. Right? Jordan Maxwell is another one. There's thousands of them, guys. The whole of the Bible is this. By bullshit. Because that's what it is. That doesn't mean that the brothers and sisters who are lost to the pantomime don't have a good heart. They do have a good heart. They do dream for freedom. But they're so misguided in the fantasy that their whole life defaults to the Pax Romanus as the newborn Christian saved to the afterlife, while everyone around them are fucking slaves. It shows you the truth of the lie they live as Christian, or the lie they live as a Jew, or the lie they live as a pedophile.
You know, when a man and a woman hold the dream of a marriage, they can make that marriage continue for 50 years, maybe 60 if they got married young enough, because they're both still holding that dream of a marriage. But if one of them changes from that dream for whatever reason, they're not satisfied anymore, they meet somebody else, that marriage is gone. It's over. It's finished. And that's no different with us with the dream of life. While we hold that dream of life, it continues indefinitely, forever. But the occultists know that if they can get us to change our dream from that dream of life, then we stop creating the life. And that is where they want us.
The living dream of an undefined life. The occultists are meddling with undefined reality because that is God. The membrane of the water of man's breath is undefined consciousness. It is the essence of who we are. It is sensory. You sense consciousness, which means as you sense consciousness, you are being that. It is not nonsense where it is explained and you're performing the occultic rituals of the definition of that, as in the daffodil is yellow, as the earth is a planet and turning, going around the sun, or that earth is a flat earth, without realizing the bigger picture, that the dream of life is much, much bigger than just the lineal shapes of what we perceive to be flat earth. Because earth doesn't end just as something defined as a planet, just as we don't end as something defined as a man under the name at the surface of our skin. We don't end here. Our senses are beyond all of this. What you sense is where you are. When you smell the flower, you are there as the flower of that experience. What you sense is where you are. There is no self there, because when there is a self, there is the baby asleep, lost to the definitions, performing the rituals of those definitions. You are deep asleep. That's why the occultists have kept the secret. That's why they tiptoe around all of us. They come as politicians and judges. And they mix amongst the societies, because some of them are fucking occultists tiptoeing. They don't want to wake up the baby, while they act as the fucking lying politicians, act as the fucking lying judges. The one who said to Fiona, what's his name? Richard, what's his name?
Something Rich Howard.
Rich Howard, whatever it was, you can find it in the documents. And he says to Fiona, all man is equal, but man places himself under the law. Willingly. He's right. He's speaking the truth. But he acts as the shepherd who must protect the sheep from each other doing harm. But he also is true from the fact that everyone was inculcated to be both the sheep and the fucking shepherd. So the whole duality is played out. And everyone is trapped in the sandpit performing this fucking lie. And so the Auto-Templi Orientalists and all the other occultic, secret, dark societies where this secret is kept must come out to expose themselves to people like us, like David Bottrell did, because we're meddling with their secret that keeps their power. We welcome these people. They're not our enemy. We are not their threat. There are no weapons here. We carry no guns. We carry no drugs. We will never social engineer David's children. But we won't lie to them either. If we sense any inculcation performed on his kids. The first impression that Fiona got of his kids, she told me something was very interesting. I won't discuss this live. The occultists behind the Auto-Templi Orientalists is behind Pizzagate and the pedophilia. That was behind the Windsor bloodline families. It's behind the whole thing of what we call aristocracy in society, because it is the meddling of man. Because that's what a child is, a man. And the more they meddle with man and provide trauma, we energize the membrane of the living conscious with fear and hell and horror and doubt. Again, darkness visible, part 5. Look at these rituals.
And hence we end up with the hurricanes.
And we create them through the shapes of our impure thoughts, because that's what anger is, what rage is, what hatred is, injustice, indifference. Because we won't allow our brothers and sisters to have the freedom to be raised up by nature undefined. And that's why you find others attack this man or this woman or us, because it really is us together, and complain and argue and say that we're cultish or we're wrong. But they've got nothing. Nothing. But their belief system has been destroyed before their very eyes. Because we're shattering it all. We're shattering everything everywhere.
That's the end of the rabbit hole.
Exactly. But now comes the real work. Who's prepared to stand up and bring down the system all around us? Who's got the guts? Because that's what you got to do now. Not sitting here and talk on fucking social media and talk about freedom. Who's going to fucking stand up and bring them down, bring their fucking system down? We are. Why don't you come and work with us? We can be your leaders if you want for a little while, until you get the confidence. But you've got to end this if you want your children to be free of this inculcation. If you want your freedom to be passed on to the generations, stand up with us. Not to follow us, not to be a cult, but to end this fucking nightmare. And we fucking bring down all the occultists that are on social media, bring down everywhere. That's why we have massive censorship, ghosting. When we put up a post, very few of 5,000 Facebook friends gets notification, right? And they get put the Mama Queen tactics on some of them by saying, watch out for Arthur Cristian or Fiona Cristian, love for life, right? To keep that separation, because they don't want them to come access to the truth that you find. This is why we want to do a documentary. Why are we going to do an ebook? Why are we going to do music? We're going to use the illumination of the system of Lucifer's world to bring down Lucifer from inside by all those who worship Lucifer, because it is just the intellect of definition. But it's only a temporary thing. It's not something that should be carried on as a legacy passed on to our children. Fiona put up a wonderful story many, many years ago called, it was the grandmother talking to the children, and about one of the children who broke a stick intentionally from a branch. It was called Once Upon a Time.
Yeah,
you'll find it in the YouTube channel.
Remember.
Go to the Arthur Love for Life YouTube channel, youtube.com Arthur Love for Life. Page 2 or page 3 of the videos. There's a short story there. Fiona reads a script. Read it. Because it touches on this very essence of why we must stop harming our brothers and sisters, why we should stop upholding Pax Romanus, which we do when we uphold the idea of a God, or the idea of Allah or Muhammad, or the idea of New Age. When you go to the auditoriums, you are in Pax Romanus wanting everyone to be a fucking slave. This man says no more. I don't want to be a slave in a slave system dependent on fucking broken down slaves. That's why I do this work. I don't do it because I don't hate anyone. That's why we're recording these video chats with you, bro. To let people know, you got one shot at this now. We're telling you the truth. This is not the lives. This is not just here. We've lived other lives where we've done this work, as other brothers and sisters have done. Have you got the guts to face the lying that keeps you in the Pax Romanus when this show ends? Do you want to break out and do something? If you want to do something, we say to everybody, come here. Thousands of you. Camp. Let's take over this region together as a celebration of the symphony of undefined man and bring down the system all around. At what point does the army back off? At what point do the police back off when there's no more genocide? Because it reaches a point when they can't do it anymore. Because there's a bigger question that everyone needs to look at. And it needs our lives to be sacrificed, not dead, but the guts to give up all our social engineering rituals of surviving in the system, to sacrifice it all, not worrying about what comes tomorrow, and come out here and camp with us. And we'll use this food forest garden with others. And we build something to bring the whole system down, not to run away and build something 5,000 kilometers away or 2,000 kilometers away or 500 kilometers away and create our own little garden. That doesn't fix it. What fixes it is when we do it as a celebration of a large orchestra of brothers and sisters who say, enough's enough. And like the women who beat the men with a stick, we stand up and say, no more of this fucking lying. And we're the voices that come through their songs, the ebooks and other books, and all who talk to tell them this is ended. We are not going to live in this fucking lie and enter the gates of hell, which will be global genocide for everyone who's trapped in it. Right? So it's not about saving anyone. It's the inspiration for life, to be the sun that shines. For those who want to open the blinds, open the curtains, and rejoice in the light of the living dream of man's life. Nothing else. Because it's undefined. It's about setting you free from your self-obsession, brothers, sisters. Because there is the end of Pax Romanus when you do that. That's the baseball bat of truth. When do you do it? Wake up tomorrow, next week? You don't have to just do it with us. You can do it where you are. You can rally your troops. But you need to be seen that this is not a fucking game anymore where we are slaves in Pax Romanus, where they're laughing at you, sipping cognac, spitting into their roaring fire because they think we're broken down, talking freedom, never ever being it. I mean, we don't need them anymore. They're not our shepherds, and we're not their sheep. We don't need the private corporation land title deeds. In this case, what we now call Queensland with the what they call the Brigalow Corporation, because that's what they're doing under the system of the law. There's no fee simple, even though fee simple's bullshit too. No one owns anything. If you look at land title deeds, it says that you are a tenant. You're a renter. They've got to put all this in place. That's why they've invaded all the tribal lands all across the coast of Australian inland, because all the traditional man on the land, the original man, not the liars, who are the custodians. And we've spoken indirectly through third-party representatives who point out that what we talk about is the song they sing. And we get them, they come and write us and ask us for help. And we say, it's just not the time for that. We're not ready for that because we were still working out what was going on with this whole scam. You'll find all this in the Love for Life website. We've had traditional elders contact us from various parts of Earth, celebrating with us this song, because it is the living song of the tribes. And that's what the custodians, the caretakers of the tribes were holding. They were never leaders. They didn't have tribal laws of death and murder to kill each other, but they did when they saw the inculcation rituals of self-obsession come amongst them, because they saw what the effects will be. And their job is to stop it, like your immune system stops the disease from spreading to take your life. They've got to protect the life of the community, the living dream. That's their custodianship. So the innocent are protected from these attacks. We don't have it right now because the children are offered up to preschool, offered up to television, iPods. They're offered up to all kinds of fucking whiz-bangery, occultic crap. We're all deeply compromised by this stuff. But at some point, we've got to end it. So the information highway should be the living dream of man's life, spread out all around, which means there's no system anywhere. As it is, the information highway spreading around is everyone under Pax Romanus in the system. So even when this show ends, everyone's still defaulting to the system. And Fiona will still have contracts with the local council water board. She'll still have contracts with electricity. She'll still have contracts. She's got to earn money and pay taxes. She has to answer the government handouts every week, every fortnight, to what money she's earned, because she gets extra money for the kids, because she's raising up slaves for their Pax Romanus system to continue. This man's outside of all of that. But the point is, we're still compromised. So it's community immunity. We're not scared of them. They can come and take this life at this event time they want. But you should spread these videos. Don't sit around. Spread these fucking videos. Put them up. Write ebooks about these insights. Don't sit around. Be active. Really active. Not the David Icke form of active. Not the Max Eigen form of active. Be good people, helping each other, making gardens. But don't look at all the rest of the stuff, the Pax Romanus that comes with it.
Exactly.
You got to see the big picture and hold it. And be the symphony player inside the orchestra. If you want the living dream of life, you've got to hold that every brother and sister is undefined, playing the living song, unique to them, not defined, not coveted by another man. So if you're going to hold that dream, stand with us. And hold that dream with us, because we hold that dream too. And be united in that way. It's like Joan of Arc in that way. It's like King Arthur Round Table in that way. Not the fucking lies or the Robin Hood lies that play with our good hearts, or the Jesus Christ story, where everything's set to the system under Pax Romanus, because that's what all the Christians are doing. You notice that's what the occultists do. They hijack the truth and twist it to suit the Pax Romanus outcomes, where they have all the power as the shepherds. They don't want a man to usurp them. And we're saying, we fuck you all off. We don't need you. We want our brothers back, your good heart back, not the lie.
And that's why many of us are lost and mesmerized by seeking truth, where we shouldn't even seek anything. Like, it's just that is fantasy to seek truth, and to like, we should have it. It's the truth is what it is.
Unless the penny drops and the giant wakes up and realize, oh, I've got to stretch. I've really got to stretch this giant. Doesn't matter how we look, how we dress, what body shape we are in. It's all in the intention. If the giant awakens, we say, fuck you. Fuck you all. Fuck everyone who wants to mess with us and use us as scum, slaves in a slave system, mesmerizing us with their storytelling that comes in 1,001 ways. So, is there anything else that we need to go through? Because we just wrote some notes, guys. Yeah. We want to make sure that we're covering the main keys. Just don't rush. Just take your time, right? Because Phil will bring up anything, because we get swept up in the euphoria of the passion that we hold. When this man woke up today, was contemplating on this membrane of the breath, and was looking at the bigger picture, just expanding it out and seeing and realizing how the occultists also use this, but for their ulterior motive, right? And so I spent an hour laying in bed contemplating and putting more and looking, observing and feeling it all. And I woke up and said, right, got to contact Janik. We're going to do another one. Every time when it's unexpected. Fiona had to come back. She dropped everything like you dropped what you did. And we sat down.
It's a mission. It's not about me with the little things I do in my life, my personal life. It's about us fucking way. So when you called me and you have something to share, I'm always there. Anybody that speak truth, that are for truth, for sure I'm going to be close. That's why I don't have too much people around me. People don't give a shit about that stuff today. They don't care. Yeah. We have to bring them back to a state of caring, a state of nurturing, a state of I don't know, breaking free. No state. That's it. No emotional state, but breaking free from the crib, leaving Babylon. Leave Babylon.
When we say brothers and sisters should come together here, is to create food forests, to break down all the suburbs, is we crowd all this area with living brothers and sisters everywhere. There's so much land here coveted, right, by people who are in fear, who believe they need the look of social engineering. I've got 5 acres, 50 acres, 200 acres. I've got money and wealth and status, and they're all sitting on top of a pile of fucking destroyed humanity doing it. Right? And Barrel, this region, is one of the wealthiest, elitist areas of Earth. And many Freemasons are here. Many of them have been moving here. The higher level occultists are moving here. This is their homecoming land. They called this region. That's why the M5, M7 interchange in Preston, Liverpool is an earth-based pyramid that's been capped. It appears to be the only earth-based pyramid capped on Earth, because it's telling you this is the gateway to their promised land, what was taken from them when the firmament collapsed. They spent hundreds and hundreds of years removing all the obelisks and pyramids on these lands. This was the original Egypt, this land we now call Australia. This was the original land where it all started, and they've all come back, and many of them are moving here now. And there's a lot to all of this. I don't want to get it because it really is just a distraction. But we're saying to brothers and sisters, get involved with us. If you hold the message, don't just go hiding in gardens out there. You've got to be active. It may look like it's politically active. It's militaristically active. It's not. It's saying, fuck you to the law. Fuck the law. Fuck everything. It's all bullshit. Fuck it all. Collapse it. Smash their tables. Rip down their fucking buildings. Fucking end it all. But don't kill them. They're just lost. Right?
Yeah.
They need to be inspired to get out of there too. But unless you have that courage and the guts and the conviction to do it and carry it out in this life, it won't happen. It'll just be a fantasy. Right? See it as a wave that the membrane of man's living consciousness, undefined, is rolling along. And every child created in that living dream of that living membrane catches the wave in the tube of it. And there, through life, is the wave rolling along with their life energy. And the whole of creation is rejoicing and singing and celebrating the magnificence of who we really are. Right? Instead of catching a wave that is satanic and it's a vortex, and we spiral away from our magnificence, where everyone is turned into scum, so we can use each other as fucking slaves in a Pax Romana state, right? E-state, because that's what real E-state is. Real E-state, real man in a E-state, ecclesiastical state, psycho state, right? That's what we got to end. We are at the moment, when the show ends, for many,
we're at the crossroad,
surfing this fucking black wave of Pax Romana, right?
Thank you very much, Arthur, Fiona. Again, a pleasure.
To highlight this and to conclude it, our breath is pure living consciousness. It is a membrane, undefined, and we make shapes with it. We make shapes. Now, we can make shapes by passing on defined dreams to our children to play with those shapes, as in the child in the sandpit, and raise up these shapes, which is what the whole system is all about. That's why you've been educated. Why everyone has been got at through the information highways to be manipulated, right? Because it is hell. And we see hell, the roaring fires of hell before our eyes, as in poverty, malnutrition, disease, pestilence, for a genocide. We see it through all kinds of horrors, as in tsunamis and hurricanes and earthquakes and floodings and things. But we are all responsible for this. Each of us is participating in the ritual, giving our life energy to define dreams that carry our life energy of our good heart. It happens because we say so, because we believe in these dreams. Remember this. Your breath is the magnificence of God gifted to you as God, undefined, never been separated. The essence of the Creator is you. There has been no measurement to undefine you in a defined way, right? You are already it. When this man, back in 2006, in the fourth, fifth video going back when there's just you and me and Scott, and I was sharing some of these things,
Yeah.
right? The last time with Gugadung and Running Water, when they came together, and I was sitting there spinning my head and going, fuck, this is impossible. He's man on the land, he's spirit man, there's no separation. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, this, and it's rattled me to the core. And they moved apart, and before me it was like a theatre opened up, a cinema screen of like, I'm not saying any of this happened. I'm just trying to give you a linear analogy to explain what I experienced. And there before me were lights of pure consciousness, undefined, and yet the uniqueness and originality of zillion, billion souls, or hundreds of millions. I cannot define what it was. But I'll give you something lineal, as in hundreds, millions, zillions, trillions. I don't know what it was. But it was so magnificent that there was perfection and uniqueness and originality amongst the wholeness of everything. And that there was no fight for identity. Yet there was this rejoice of co-creation, of the essence of what we are. This is what we see of nature when we look at nature through our senses and experience reality through our senses. So that song, they burst into a song and sang a song that was like black gospel music, but it wasn't. It was the undefined song of man's essence, of man's breath, as the living dream. And as magnificence, we have a spring in our step, a joy that moves us every instant. And it's undefined joy, undefined happiness. It's not running from a script. And there's no Pax Romanus and there's no slave. Now, that was back in 2006, the last time that because there was a series of those events. I don't ask you to believe anything this man experienced. But I do ask you to use scrutiny and question everything this man is saying and prove that this man is lying or not. Because if you do, you'll challenge every thought in your head. Because if you do, you'll be this living soul that was the song that the man experienced of all the undefined light of consciousness. Because the undefined light of consciousness is the fucking mountain right now. Our ancestors are there right now. It's the magnificence of the sun that shines. The ancestors are the rays of light upon you now. It's the rays of all undefined man now, shining as that love to you unconditionally. It's the creatures, the wombats, the kangaroos that were all undefined. It's every insect, the molecules, the bacteria. It's everything. It's living consciousness, undefined. And it rejoices the song because it's the ancestors who hold the dream of life. And every man is performing in the orchestra of the living song, but it's all undefined. There's no mathematical scored instrument or design in there. There's no ABC 1, 2, 3 in the instruments or the charts or the song. Every song is unique and original because every instant is unique and original, never to be repeated. It's only self-obsession that makes us repeat. Because we won't let go of the lie. So we repeat it and repeat it and repeat it for a whole fucking lifetime. And that is spiritual suicide. That's the death. Because we don't want to wake up from the crib. We don't want to wake up.
So we need a spiritual revival, not a spiritual suicide.
Undefined spiritual.
That's it, spiritual revival.
So we use the fake mediums of the internet to reach brothers and sisters who hold that dream. To say, right, we're unplugging.
That's it.
We're going to return to our brothers and co-create in amongst each other now an undefined reality where there is no man-made law, no man-made government, no man-made institution fucking interfering. There's no occultists meddling with your dream. They're not in your fucking heads. Because that's what they do in their courts. Because it's CAUGHTS. You're caught in the occults because you don't know who you are. You're still a baby asleep. That's why you go to court. But when you wake up, you're not answerable to any of them and never will be. And you let them go, though your sun shines to them. So all the occultists, to the highest levels of their abomination, this love is for you too, brother and sister. We will not forsake you. You are not abandoned. We've never abandoned you. It's only you that chooses to abandon the truth. So you got one shot. You want to come back? Come back. This brother's here for you. He reaches out as an equal. And heal. Let go. Stop making slaves of everyone till you run this racket, Pax Romanus routine. We're all in on this together. Each of us is inspired man. Right? Yeah. And if you guys do your job properly, you make sure that the story of this real man and this woman is not hijacked and twisted. And when you come across liars lying, you confront them and correct and straighten the road like we do when people fucking lie.
You want to add anything, Arthur? Or
that's why we did the show today. There's nothing else.
That's good. Very good. Like I said, what I like is the fire, and I always respect that in you, and the guts to do what you do also, to put information out there and great stuff. And like you say, it doesn't mean I agree with everything. I make sense of it, and then I go on with my life. But yeah, for sure, it's a great insight. Great insight. I don't hijack the dream. I get the insight, and that's what I go on with my dream, creating my own dream, my own thing, with insights of other people. But you share great insights here for sure.
The letting go comes from scrutiny, and as we observe what we share, the fruits of all what we share is what we eat, and it inspires us to keep returning to undefined, letting go, meaning we're hopping off the black wave tube ride, and we're now returning back to what was always there, the living tube ride of the living wave, because we are the wave. We give energy to the wave, and we all roll on with each other in the crest of the creation, because we are the cutting edge of creation. We are at the forefront of creation, because there's no beginning to this. There's no end. It's just who we are here and now. And the more we hold it, the more we live it and be it. That's what we are. So you grow food. We have a food forest here. If other brothers want to be serious about this, come and get involved in this food forest. Yeah, you may get a baseball bat from this man or from this woman, but the whole idea is for you to expand the garden, break these borders down, break it down. We spread it out in this area, spread it out everywhere. Don't worry about how the emotions and all the hip horror of all the other people, all their deeper sleep fears is to keep it that way. And the police come in to worry because you think you're breaking the peace. It's actually the other way around.
Yeah.
It was the other way around.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to maintain their prison status, so no one is disturbed, because inside that house across the road, the baby is asleep. And every other fucking house, and every car you see driving everywhere, there's a baby asleep in there.
Yeah.
And their cultists and all their lackeys are there to protect it that way. No one must wake up. No, wake up.
The baby's asleep. Shh. We'll let him sleep. Shh.
We should be quiet. Say nothing.
Be quiet. We're gonna leave on the quiet.
Say nothing.
Okay, bye-bye. We're going. The baby's sleeping.